Hey guys, this is Mr. Gabriel's Auto Talk again, and I'm your host, Ranger Bob. I wanted to explain to you guys how heaters work, and I kind of looked out there for videos that was already on YouTube, and I really didn't like any of them because some of them they just didn't explain it well enough, and then some of them were an hour long explaining something that's pretty basic. So let me show you real quick how a heater works. There's really not that much to it. Of course, we've got an engine that creates heat. Of course, I've taught you guys when we were doing motors how that happens. Of course, you know some about cooling systems. You know, we'll have a thermostat like this mounted in the engine, and once the engine gets up to a certain operating temperature, depending on what this is set for, whether it's 198 degrees, 160 degrees, 180 degrees, whatever this is calibrated to, this thing will open up and allow coolant to run through your radiator. So you're going to exit your engine in through the radiator. It's going to get cooled with your fans. It's going to go back into the motor. And of course, that's the cooling system. Well, if we want heater in the car, all we're going to do is we're just going to tap off of the engine with a set of hoses. You're going to have an inlet and an outlet, and we're going to run that through another smaller radiator that we call the heater core. Of course, this heater core, on one side of it, we're going to have a blower motor. And so when you turn on your control, your HVAC control, and you say that you want heat, there'll be a valve that'll let this coolant flow through the core. Then your blower motor will blow air across that core, and that's how you get heat inside the vehicle with you. Now, of course, there's a lot more to it than just this. That's just the basic concept. Of course, on these HVAC boxes, there's going to be back in the day, we controlled it with cables, then they went to vacuum, and now we've got electronic actuators that open and shut these doors, and they control the flow of air. If you want air to your defrost, air to your vent, air to your floor, wherever you're demanding it. And then, of course, then we go one step further, and now you've got split climate controls where the passenger can maybe have the air warmer than the driver or vice versa. In other words, we'll take and we'll just double those controls so that everybody can control what they got. But that pretty much is the basics of just how a heater works. And that's all I wanted you to understand is that's why a lot of times if you get complaints about steam coming up on the inside of the windshield, or you actually have leakage in the passenger floorboard, a lot of times that's these heater cores leaking. They start to leak and you get antifreeze leaking down inside your car, like on your carpet or your floor mat. And then, of course, even before that happens, you'll turn it on and you'll get a film that'll come up onto your windshield. That's usually a telltale sign that this heater core is leaking. That's really, honestly, about all that ever goes wrong with the heater systems is either the valve malfunctions and you either have heat when you don't want it or you don't have heat when you want it, or the heater core leaks, or, of course, these little actuators that we put here, a lot of times they don't stick, they don't open like they're supposed to, and you end up with the same condition with no heat. So they pretty much default those to give you heat. So a lot of times it's where you can't shut the heat off. But anyway, I hope that helps you understand how the heating systems work. Like I said, there's not that much to it, and I wanted you to at least hear it from me how that works, and don't get hung up on some of that stuff. So anyway, I'll see you guys next week, and we'll start our next series.